The rain was a soft, apologetic whisper against the cafe window, blurring the neon lights of Seoul into a watercolor painting of longing and regret. I stood across the street, a pathetic click a tilde copyright in a damp beige hoodie, my glasses fogging with every nervous breath I took. For 3 weeks, a man I euros trade D never met had rebuilt my world with nothing but words on a screen. He called himself Moonwalker 92, and tonight I was finally going to meet him. I saw him then, a silhouette of promises, dressed head to toe in black just as he euros trade D said. His shoulders were broad, his hands tucked into the pockets of his dark jeans, a black bucket hat obscuring his face. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum solo of hope and terror. This was it. This was the man who called me baby and made me feel seen without ever laying eyes on me. I crossed the street, my steps unsteady. As I drew closer, he looked up. The world slowed to a crawl. He reached up and pulled the hat from his head, letting it fall to his side. And in that single, devastating motion, my entire universe, the fragile, beautiful one I had constructed in the dead of night, didn't just crack. It imploded. My lungs seized. My stomach churned with a violent, acidic wave of Norse air. Because standing there, a confused, almost gentle smile playing on his lips, was not a stranger. It was Jiu, my stepbrother, the chaotic, infuriating, shirtless storm that had torn through my life just a few weeks ago. And in that moment, I wanted to do more than just vomit. I wanted to cease to exist, to understand how I ended up in this personal hell, a living, breathing paradox of desire and disgust. You have to understand the silence that defined my life before him. My existence was a carefully curated collection of avoidances. I never spoke of my family, not really. Back in the mandated group therapy sessions of my high school years, surrounded by the scent of stale coffee and the sympathetic, mildewed scent of well-meaning counselors, my contribution was always the same two-sentence eulogy for my own life. My mom died. My stepfather sucks. It was a full stop, a period at the end of a story I refused to elaborate on. That was my shield. Silence was my sanctuary. But at 22, life, in its infinite and cruel sense of humor, decided my story needed a new, unwelcome co-author. This new chapter arrived without a 6-foot-tall hurricane of sculpted muscle, cheap beer, and an ego so large it barely fit through our apartment door. His name was Jiu, and he was my stepbrother, the son my stepfather actually seemed to care about, a living reminder of a family I was adjacent to, but never truly a part of. He had materialized 3 weeks prior, not with a polite phone call but like a glitch in my reality. He simply walked in, a battered black duffel bag slung over his shoulder, and flashed that infuriatingly handsome, arrogant grin. "Dad, he euros trade D," announced, his voice echoing with unearned confidence in our small living room. I dropped out. "Hope you don't euros trade T mind me crashing here for a while." He said it with a casual air of someone asking to borrow a cup of sugar, as if our home was nothing more than a conveniently located hostel. And my stepfather, a man I euros trade D long since written off as a disappointment in a sweat-stained tank top, just beamed. He slapped Jiu euros trade S broad back with a resounding thud and declared, "Home is home." But Jiu wasn't home. He was an invasion. He treated our apartment like his personal fraternity house. He brought home a rotating cast of men. Loud, boisterous guys whose enthusiastic moans seeped through the thin walls at all hours, turning my bedroom into the unwilling audience for a low-budget adult film festival. That I could have almost tolerated. I had noise-canceling headphones. But what I couldn't ignore was the way Ju seemed to take a special, sadistic pleasure in tormenting me personally. He had a sixth sense for my moments of private vulnerability. He Eurostrayed burst into my room without knocking, always shirtless, a towel slung so low on his hips it defied physics. His body would be glistening with a post-workout sheen, looking like he Eurostrayed stepped directly out of one of the more explicit webtoons I was currently reading. He Eurostrayed catch a glimpse of the screen on my tablet, see the illustrated panels of two men tangled in an intimate embrace, and his lip would curl into that trademark smirk. You are Eurostrayed so obvious, Simone, he Eurostrayed drawl, his eyes rolling dramatically. You practically drool every time one guy calls another guy a circumflex Eurostrayed. Each word was a perfectly aimed dart, striking right at the heart of my insecurities. I fantasized about his demise, not in a dramatic, cinematic way, but in a quiet, meticulous manner. A responsible, respectful murder, but I never said a word. I just endured it, shrinking into myself, because Tharter Eurostrayed who I was. Simone, the quiet one, the awkward one, the boy who studied his shoes as if they held the secrets of the universe, who had never so much as held another boy Eurostrayed's hand, whose only romantic experience came from rereading archived chat logs of fictional characters. It was this profound, aching loneliness, a hunger for connection so sharp it felt like a physical pain, that led me to the app. I was sitting at an outdoor canteen during my lunch break, pretending to be engrossed in my phone, when I overheard a couple of guys from another office laughing about it. It was called a circumflex Sweet me Eurostrayed. Dude, Eater Eurostrayed's insane, one of them said. You just pick your preference Euros gay, straight, whatever Euros set your mood for the day, and boom, it matches you with someone nearby. They were probably exaggerating, probably just joking around, but in that moment, I was desperate enough to believe in any kind of magic. Before I Eurostrayed even finished my kimchi stew, my fingers were flying across my screen. The app downloaded in seconds. I was lonely, touch-starved, and so emotionally constipated I felt like I was about to burst. And I was horny, a constant, low-grade thrum of desire with no outlet. So, when the screen lit up with a cheerful, candy-colored font that read, "Welcome to Sweet Me, Simone," ready to flirt, my heart did a frantic, terrifying leap. My hands were slick with sweat. My leg began to jitter under the table like a nervous K-pop trainee on evaluation day. With a deep breath, I clicked a circumflex Eurostrayed. I didn't Eurostrayed dare use a real photo. The thought of my actual face being judged and swiped away was more than I could bear. I chose a heavily filtered silhouette, a shadowy outline that hinted at a person but revealed nothing. For my bio, I typed out the most honest, vulnerable words I could muster: introverted cat lover, book nerd, willing to open Euros slowly. I closed the app, convinced that would be the end of it. I expected nothing. A void. Silence. But then, a few hours later, my phone buzzed. A notification. Sweet me match Moonwalker 92. My breath caught in my throat. He Eurostrayed messaged first. His words were simple, but they felt like a lifeline. Nice name, Simone. Like a dream. My fingers trembled as I typed back. Thanks. Yours is cool, too. Are you into astronomy? The reply was almost instantaneous. Only if you are Eurostrayed, read the star. A wave of heat rushed to my face. I was so unused to being flirted with, it felt like a foreign language my body instinctively understood. "Oh," I typed, cringing at my own awkwardness. "Shy," he messaged back, not as an accusation, but as a gentle observation. "Yeah, a little," I admitted. His next words wrapped around my heart like a warm blanket. "Dona Eurostrade T worry. Ir Eurostrade LL go slow." And just like that, I was utterly, hopelessly hooked. What began as a few tentative messages a day quickly blossomed into an all-consuming ritual. We graduated to nightly conversations that stretched into the early hours of the morning. Ir Eurostrade DB huddled under my covers, the glow of my phone illuminating my face, trying to stifle my moans as his words alone, his carefully crafted sentences of teasing and affection, brought me to a state of breathless arousal. We operated under a set of unspoken rules. We never asked what the other looked like. No photos were exchanged, no voices were heard. It was a relationship built on pure text, on the beauty of a well-timed emoji and the intimacy of sharing your deepest thoughts with a faceless stranger. He was my anonymous confessor, my digital lover. He was playful and gentle, but with an undercurrent of dominance that drove me insane. The way he would end a particularly teasing message with the word "baby" sent shivers down my spine. Ir Eurostrade D come home from a draining day at work, feeling irritable and invisible, and then my phone would light up. "Moonworker 92 home yet, baby? I missed your texts." And instantly, the weight of the day would evaporate. A stupid, giddy smile would spread across my face, and more often than not, Ir Eurostrade D be pulling down my pants before Ir Eurostrade D even thought about what to eat for dinner. That was the power he had over me. He was my secret, my escape, my only source of genuine joy in a life dominated by the oppressive presence of Jew. For 3 blissful, anonymous weeks he was mine, until one night he typed the words that would change everything. "Moonwalker 92, what if we met?" My blood ran cold. My fingers froze over the keyboard. Meet in person? The idea was terrifying. In the real world, I was no Eurostrade T, the witty, charming person I was online. I was the guy who hunched his shoulders, who could no Eurostrade T maintain eye contact, whose photos were all several years and 10 pounds out of date. I was skinny fat, a collection of soft edges and awkward angles. What if he saw me and was repulsed? What if the reality of me shattered the fantasy he had built in his mind? But then, before my panic could fully consume me, another message appeared. "Letter Eurostrade S meet. No pressure, just us. Maybe at the cafe near Namsen. Ir Eurostrade LL wear all black. You wear anything you want. Ir Eurostrade LL no eater Eurostrade SU." He made it sound so simple, so easy. I agonized over my reply for hours, my thumb hovering over the send button. Finally, with a surge of what felt like either courage or insanity, I typed back a single word yes. That was yesterday. And it brought me to this moment, standing in the rain, my reality collapsing as I stared into the face of my stepbrother, Jiu. I wanted to scream, a raw, primal sound of betrayal that would tear through the gentle patter of the rain. Jiu, my Moonwalker 92, the man whose words Ir Eurostrade D whispered into my pillow at night was the same smug jerk War Eurostrade D smacked my butt on his way to the bathroom just last week, muttering, "You should tone that thing unless you want it noticed." The sweet, attentive online lover was the same guy War Eurostrade D once used my favorite hoodie Euros, a gift from my late mother Euros, to wipe up a beer spill. The cognitive dissonance was so severe it made me dizzy. And now he stood before me, not in his usual uniform of basketball shorts and a cocky attitude, but in a fitted black sweater and dark jeans, a silver chain glinting at his neck. He looked like the male lead in a bad boy K-drama, and the sight of him made me sick. The confused smile on his face slowly morphed as he took in my expression. As the pieces clicked into place in his mind. "Semun," he said, his voice laced with disbelief. I stumbled backward, as if he Eurostrade physically struck me. "No," I breathed, the word a desperate plea. "No, no, no, no." His eyebrows furrowed in confusion, then shot up in dawning horror and realization. "Oh my God," he whispered, his eyes widening. He took a hesitant step closer. "War Eurostrade re Semun." Our gazes locked, and for a full, suspended second, the world was silent. Then, the sound I despised more than anything on earth erupted from him. That arrogant, grating laugh. It wasn't a Eurostrade a chuckle, it was a full-throated, wheezing cackle of pure amusement. My hands clenched into fists at my sides, my nails digging into my palms. "You," I seethed, my voice cracking with a tidal wave of humiliation. "Fisa euros, is this a joke? Are you serious right now?" Wait, he managed to gasp out between fits of laughter, clutching his stomach as if he were in physical pain. "War Eurostrade re the clingy cat boy." The words hit me like a slap. "Ir Eurostrade not clingy." I shot back, my face burning hot. "Bro, you literally sent me 3 separate circumflex euros good nighter Eurostrade messages yesterday, each with a different heart emoji." I blanched, the memory searing itself into my brain. The air around my ears felt like it was on fire. "Why?" I hissed, the single word loaded with all my fury and hurt. "Why didn't Eurostrade you tell me who you were?" He finally managed to straighten up, wiping a tear of mirth from the corner of his eye. His smirk was back, but it was different now, edged with something I couldn't Eurostrade quite decipher. "I didn't Eurostrade know either," he said, his voice still trembling with suppressed laughter. "I never even looked at your profile picture. I just I liked the way you typed. And I liked the way you called me a circumflex euros babier Eurostrade without even hesitating." His eyes gleamed with a wicked, predatory delight. "Now that I know iter Eurostrade you are euros damn. I couldn't Eurostrade take it anymore." I turned on my heel, ready to flee. "Ir Eurostrade leaving." But a hand shot out and clamped around my wrist. His grip wasn't Eurostrade painfully tight, but it sent a jolt of electricity, a confusing sizzle of unwanted sensation, straight up my arm. "Wait, Semun." His tone had shifted. The laughter was gone, replaced by something softer, almost vulnerable. I hesitated, glancing back over my shoulder. The smugness had vanished from his face, replaced by a quiet, stunned expression that mirrored the turmoil churning in my own gut. He was finally processing it, the sheer, mind-bending absurdity of our situation. He slowly released my hand. "I didn't Eurostrade mean to mess with you," he said, his voice low. "This is Euros weird as hell for me, too." "No, iter Eurostrade not," I spat, the bitterness coating my tongue. "You probably think this is hilarious." It was, he admitted with a disarming honesty. "For the first 10 seconds. Then it go to Euros kind of real." Real, it was a word I wasn't Eurostrade prepared for. Not from him. Not when just 3 nights ago, I had fallen asleep with his name on my lips, whispering baby into my pillow like the world or Eurostrade's biggest fool while my hand moved under the sheets. We stood there in the drizzling rain, trapped in a bubble of suffocating silence while the city moved on around us. Cars swished by, pedestrians bustled past under their umbrellas, but my world had ground to a halt. Ju let out a long, slow breath. "Let her Eurostrade's go inside," he said, nodding toward the cafe. "What?" I stared at him as if he Eurostrade just suggested we fly to the moon. "We Eurostrade already here," he reasoned, his voice regaining a sliver of its usual confidence. "And I still owe you that black sugar latte. I Eurostrade am not drinking anything with you." He stepped closer, invading my personal space, his voice dropping to an intimate murmur that was meant only for me. "You already moaned my name in text, baby. You can't Eurostrade ghost me now." A furious blush crept up my neck, flooding my entire face. I was scarlet. "Stop calling me that. I can't Eurostrade help it," he grinned, the devilish glint returning to his eyes. "Now that I know it was you behind those messages, eater Eurostrade's kind of hot." He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "And you are Eurostrade cute when you blush. And like a complete and utter idiot. Like a moth drawn to a flame that promised to not only burn me but humiliate me in the process." I followed him inside. We found a quiet booth by the window, the space between us crackling with an unbearable mixture of unresolved lust and profound awkwardness. I clutched my warm mug like a life raft, debating whether to sip from it or hurl its contents directly at his infuriatingly handsome face. Ju, on the other hand, looked perfectly at ease. He stirred his drink with a lazy, deliberate motion, his eyes fixed on me as if I were the eveninger Eurostrade's entertainment. "So," he began, breaking the tense silence, "all this time you are Eurostrade been locking yourself up in your room, you were Euros texting me. Don't Eurostrade flatter yourself," I muttered into my cup. "I Eurostrade am flattered anyway. I seriously hate you." His eyes met mine over the rim of his own cup, a playful, challenging glint in their depths. "Then why did your texts make me hard every single night?" My eyes widened. My mouth fell open. "What? Oops," he said, taking a casual sip. "Was that TMI? I was 1 second away from bolting, from running out of that cafe and never looking back. But something in his gaze held me captive. The playfulness was still there, but underneath it lay a layer of genuine curiosity, as if he was trying to solve a complex puzzle. He was trying to figure out what this was, what we were, and what we could possibly become. And my stupid, traitorous heart, against every rational instinct screaming at me to run, wanted to stay. Just for a little while longer. Later that night, the apartment was quiet. I was curled up on my bed, my face buried in a pillow, trying to suffocate the memory of the day. Of course, thought Eurostrade's when my door creaked open and Ju entered, shirtless as always. "Do you own any shirts? Or do you have to be naked just to think?" He let out a low chuckle and, to my surprise, pulled a hoodie over his head before coming to sit on the edge of my bed. "Don't Eurostrade," I mumbled into the pillow. "I Eurostrade am not doing anything." "Were Eurostrade sitting on my bed?" thought Eurostrade's aloud. Silence stretched between us. He fidgeted with the hem of his hoodie, an uncharacteristic display of nervousness. "I meant it, you know," he said finally, his voice soft. "I liked chatting with you. I Euros still do. I refused to respond, my body rigid. He leaned down, his warm breath ghosting across my ear, sending an involuntary shiver through me. Especially when you told me, in excruciating detail, what you wanted me to do to you. Shut up, I croaked, my face on fire. He smirked, his lips practically brushing my earlobe. Why, you didn't Eurostrade mean it. I didn't Eurostrade know it was you. But you wanted it, right? He pressed, his voice a husky whisper. My breathing hitched. He leaned in even closer, his presence overwhelming my senses. Because I wanted it too, he confessed. Still do. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic, trapped bird. His hand, warm and heavy, landed on my thigh over the blanket. It wasn't a Eurostrade an accidental touch. It was deliberate, intentional. Jew, I whispered his name, and a plea all at once. He ignored it. He moved closer, his lips hovering just inches from mine, his gaze intense. Can I kiss you now, Hyung? He whispered, using the honorific I had used so often in our texts, the one that made my knees weak. My entire body melted. I didn't Eurostrade give him a verbal answer. I didn't Eurostrade need to, because my lips were already moving, closing the infinitesimal distance between us and pressing against his. The real problem with kissing Jew wasn't Eurostrade the kiss itself. It was the devastating, world-altering fact that I liked it. No, thutter Eurostrade's a lie. I loved it. His lips were deceptively soft, moving against mine with a gentleness that completely contradicted his brash, frat boy persona. He kissed me like he Eurostrade been dreaming about it for months, with a hesitant hunger that quickly ignited into a blazing fire. When his hand slid from my thigh up to cup the back of my neck, his thumb stroking the sensitive skin just below my jaw, the room began to spin. I let out a small, involuntary whimper, and I felt him smirk against my mouth. That small sound seemed to break whatever restraint he was holding onto. He deepened the kiss, his tongue sliding against mine, exploring, demanding. It was warm and intoxicating, and so impossibly good that it erased every single one of the million reasons I should have been pushing him away. But I wasn't Eurostrade pushing. I was pulling. I gripped the front of his hoodie, tugging him closer, kissing him back with a desperate, pent-up energy I didn't Eurostrade know I possessed. It was him. It was Jew. And that was the worst, most wonderful part of it all. The next morning, I awoke to the unfamiliar sensation of being completely enveloped. My face was pressed against a firm, warm chest, a heavy arm was slung possessively around my waist, and our legs were a tangled mess under the sheets. We were both naked. A tidal wave of memories from the previous night crashed over me with the force of a physical blow. His mouth on my neck, his hands everywhere, the sound of my own voice moaning his name into the pillow, breathless and desperate, and his voice, a low rumble in my ear, whispering how he Eurostrade fantasized about me for weeks, long before he ever realized I was the shy cat boy he was falling for online. The weight of him on top of me, the heat, the sharp, exquisite pleasure. And afterward, the way he Eurostrade held me, stroking my hair and murmuring, "You okay, baby?" over and over again, as if he genuinely cared. Now, in the soft morning light filtering through the curtains, his body was a warm, solid presence wrapped around me. He had claimed me, body and soul. I tried to shift, to create some space, but his arm tightened. "Don't Eurostrade move," he murmured, his voice thick and gravelly with sleep. "War Eurostrade warm." "Jehu," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "We need to talk later," he mumbled, burying his nose in my hair and inhaling deeply. I felt like I was dying, not in a poetic, romantic way, but in the very real, I just slept with my stepbrother and now we're Euro-strayed and drowning in a puddle of shame and confusion kind of way. After I finally managed to extricate myself from his surprisingly strong grip, I sat on the edge of the bed, hugging my knees to my chest. Jiu sat up, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. He looked over at me, a lazy, satisfied smirk spreading across his face. Do you always whimper like that when someone bites your earlobe? I grabbed the nearest pillow and hurled it at his head. Stop being gross. He caught it effortlessly, laughing. Our Euro-strayed, I'm serious, I snapped, my patience worn thin. We need to talk about our Euros. What just happened? What? He asked, tilting his head with feigned innocence. We had sex. No, we Euros I mean. Yes, but Eater Euro-strayed not just that. You are Euro-strayed my stepbrother. Step, he corrected, emphasizing the word, not blood. Still a Euros. He climbed out of bed, stretching languidly. His abdominal muscles flexed in the morning light, and I hated how perfect he looked. It made everything so much harder. I don't Euro-strayed see the big deal, he said calmly, turning to face me. We Euro-strayed not siblings. We didn't Euro-strayed grow up together. I didn't Euro-strayed even know you existed until a few weeks ago. Hell, we couldn't Euro-strayed even stand each other. But on linear Euros you and I are Euros. His voice softened, losing its cocky edge. Our Euro-strayed never connected with someone like that before. I swallowed hard. I thought I was falling for a stranger. No to Euros you. He moved closer and knelt on the floor in front of me, resting his hand gently on my knee. His touch was warm and steadying, but it was me, Simon. Farter Euro-strayed the point. I stared at him, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. I hated you. He smiled, a genuine, gentle smile that reached his eyes. His thumb brushed over the back of my hand. I know, he said softly. I kind of loved that. I couldn't Euro-strayed help it. A small, choked laugh escaped my lips. Then my smile faded, and I whispered the question that was weighing on me. What are we going to do? He looked up at me, and for the first time, his gaze was completely serious, stripped of all artifice and teasing. I don't Euro-strayed no, he admitted honestly. But I don't Euro-strayed want to stop. That next week was a dizzying blur of stolen moments and suppressed desires. We were masters of deception, acting like our usual, barely tolerant selves whenever my stepfather was home. But the second he left for work, the fragile truce would shatter. Jiu was relentless. He Euro-strayed corner me in the hallway, pressing me against the wall for a deep, searing kiss. His hand would slide under my hoodie while I was reaching for a box of cereal in the kitchen. He Euro-strayed whisper the filthiest, most incredible things in my ear while I was trying to concentrate on my remote work, making it impossible to think about anything but him. It was reckless and exhilarating and felt incredibly dangerous. And the most terrifying part was that I couldn't get enough of him. I craved his touch, his voice, his very presence, with an intensity that scared me. One night, after a particularly tense family dinner, I escaped to my room, only to find Jiu already there, waiting for me. He looked different, anxious. Can we talk? He asked. I nodded, my heart starting to beat a little faster. He closed the door quietly and then pulled something from the back pocket of his jeans. My stomach plummeted. It was my old journal, the one I thought I had hidden so well, the one where, years ago, I had poured out all my secret feelings. My first crush, The painful, confusing realization that I was gay. And the poem, the ridiculous, heartfelt poem about a boy I used to see on the train. A boy who looked like sunshine and sadness all mixed together. You wrote this about me, didn't you? Eurostrade Eurostrade's voice was quiet. My heart felt like it had dropped into my shoes. What? No, that Warsaw Euros, you called him a circumflex Euros, the boy with tired eyes and messy hair who smelled like spice and sounded like fiery Eurostrade, he quoted from memory. Farter Eurostrade Sar Euros Farter Eurostrade's literally me. I stared at the floor, unable to meet his gaze. He sat down on the bed beside me. Simon, he said gently. You liked me, even before sweet me. Yeah, I whispered, the admission feeling like a surrender. But I hated myself for it. Why? Because you teased me, I said, the words tumbling out. Because you were loud and hot and so obnoxiously, painfully straight. He was quiet for a moment. Eurostrade not straight. I blinked, looking up at him in surprise. I never said I was, he continued, his voice steady. I never found someone I cared about enough to bother figuring it out for. His fingers found mine, lacing through them. And then I met you. It happened the next night. We were lying in bed, tangled together again after another round of messy, breathless lovemaking. His fingers were tracing lazy circles on my stomach, his touch sending little sparks across my skin. And then he said it, his voice a low, serious murmur in the darkness. Simon, yeah, I think I love you. I froze. Every muscle in my body went rigid. I turned my head on the pillow to look at him, to see if he was joking. His eyes were wide and sincere in the faint moonlight. I mean it, he added, as if sensing my disbelief. You're Eurostrade the only person who makes me feel like this. Like I don't Eurostrade have to act like someone else. Like I can just Euros be. Tears, hot and unexpected, stung the corners of my eyes. I love you, too, I whispered, and the words felt more true than anything I had ever said in my life. It wasn't Eurostrade just a moment of postcoital bliss. It was everything. It was the culmination of secret chats and stolen glances, of shared vulnerabilities and a connection so deep it defied logic. For a brief, perfect period, I thought that was our ending. I was wrong. It was just the beginning of the end. I used to think the most painful sound in the world was the rattling, final breath my mother took in her hospital bed. I was wrong. The most painful sound is the soft, final click of a door being closed by someone you love, a whisper that chooses not to stay. The catalyst for our downfall arrived 3 days earlier, not with a bang, but with a knock. A sharp, insistent rap on our apartment Eurostrade's front door. I was at the sink, washing dishes. Ju was in the shower, the sound of running water a peaceful backdrop to my domestic bliss. The knock came again, louder this time, impatient. I dried my hands on a towel and opened the door, and my world tilted on its axis for the second time in as many weeks. He stood there, a vision of effortless cool in designer jeans and silver hoop earrings. He had a jawline that could cut glass and a smirk that was somehow even more arrogant than Eurostrade's. Annyeong, the stranger said, his voice smooth as silk. Is Jivu here? I blinked, taking in his perfect, polished appearance. Who are you? His smirk widened. Eurostrade his ex. And just like that, a bomb was tossed into the fragile glass house of my happiness and everything shattered. His name was Minjun, and he wasn't Eurostrade just any ex. He was a tall, model-esque, smooth-talking specter from Eurostrade's past. The man who had apparently kissed Jiu under a shower of cherry blossoms during their university days, only to ghost him for a modeling contract in Paris. Jiu never told me about you, I muttered, handing him a glass of water that I felt he in no way deserved. He took a sip, his eyes crinkling at the corners as he smiled over the rim of the glass. "Thought Eurostrade's because I broke his heart," he said, as if it were a charming anecdote. I had the sudden, violent urge to punch him in his perfectly symmetrical face. But I didn't Eurostrade get the chance, because at that exact moment, Jiu walked out of the bathroom, a towel around his waist, and froze mid-stride. Minjun. I watched as a complex series of emotions flickered across Jiu Eurostrade's face. Minjun stood up, his presence filling the room. "I came back," he announced, his voice dripping with manufactured sincerity. I realized I never really moved on. "And maybe, Jiu, you didn't Eurostrade either." Jiu just stared at him, then his eyes flickered to me, and in that single, hesitant glance, I felt everything crumble. "You didn't Eurostrade even tell me you had an ex," I whispered later, once we were back in the suffocating privacy of our room. "Because he didn't Eurostrade matter," Jiu insisted, but his words lacked conviction. "Really? He looked like he mattered. He touched your shoulder and you looked like you are Eurostrade seen a ghost. Simona Euros, do you still love him?" The question hung in the air between us, heavy and toxic. His silence was the answer. It was a betrayal more profound than any lie he could have told. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it again. A bitter, humorless laugh escaped my lips. "Thought Eurostrade's all I needed to know." I shoved past him, my shoulder connecting hard with his. I grabbed my hoodie, the same one Eurostrade been wearing the day we met, and slammed the apartment door behind me, the sound echoing the shattering of my heart. I didn't Eurostrade cry, not then. The tears only came later, as I walked aimlessly down a dark, empty street, my hands shoved in my pockets, holding back a scream that felt like it would tear me apart from the inside out. 2 days later, I came home from work to a scene of quiet judgment. My stepfather was sitting on the sofa, his arms crossed over his chest, a deep frown etched into his face. Jiu sat beside him, looking utterly wrecked. "What are Eurostrade's going on?" I asked, my voice cautious. My stepfather stood up, his movements slow and deliberate. "I heard things," he said, his voice low and menacing. "Unbelievable things. About you too. In this house." My heart stopped beating. "Who told you?" I asked, my voice a hoarse whisper. "Does it matter?" he snapped. "He Eurostrade's your brother." "Stepbrother," Jiu interjected quietly, his voice hollow. "Not related. Not raised together. Iter Eurostrade's not a crime. Iter Eurostrade's sick." My stepfather spat, the word dripping with venom. "Disgusting. Under my roof." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Then Iter Eurostrade leave." Jiu Eurostrade's head shot up, his eyes wide with alarm. "What?" "Iter Eurostrade leave," I repeated, my voice gaining strength. "You can keep your perfect, golden son. Iter Eurostrade done." I didn't Eurostrade wait for a response. I stormed to my room, threw a few essential items into a bag, and walked out without a backward glance. Jiu didn't Eurostrade follow me. He didn't Eurostrade call out my name. He didn't Eurostrade say a single word to stop me. And that silence was worse than all the yelling, all the insults, all the disgust. It was the ultimate confirmation of my worthlessness in his eyes. A week passed in a gray, sleepless haze. No texts, no calls, no more messages calling me a circumflex euros baby a euros trade. I was crashing on a mattress in my Calgary euros trade shoebox-sized studio apartment, crying myself to sleep when I thought no one was listening. I deleted Sweet Me. I erased our entire chat history, watching as months of intimacy vanished with a single tap, but I couldn't euros trade delete the memory of his touch, or the sound of his voice, or the way he held me like I was the most precious thing in the world. I hated him for his silence, for letting me walk away, but I hated myself more for the simple, devastating fact that I still wanted him. It happened on a Saturday. I was in a bookstore, aimlessly flipping through a new BL manhwa, trying to lose myself in a fictional romance because my own was in ruins. A hand reached for the same volume I was holding. Our fingers brushed. A familiar jolt, a phantom echo of our first touch, shot up my arm. I looked up, and there he was. Jew. He looked terrible. His eyes were red-rimmed and exhausted, his hair was a mess, and his hoodie seemed to hang off his frame. "You look like hell," I muttered, the words coming out before I could stop them. "I feel worse," he said, his voice soft and raspy. "Did you come here on purpose?" "No," he said, "but maybe fate did." I stared at him, a weaker euros trade's worth of anger and pain swirling inside me. I finally asked the question that had been choking me for 7 days. "Why didn't a euros trade you come after me?" He let out a shaky breath. "Because I thought you needed space," he confessed, his gaze dropping to the floor. "And I was scared. I was scared you wouldn't euros trade want me anymore, and I couldn't euros trade bear to hear you say it." A bitter laugh escaped me. "War euros trade read an idiot." He stepped closer, closing the small gap between us. "I euros trade am your idiot." I looked down at the book in my hands, unable to look at him. "Minjun, gone. For good," he said firmly. He was never the one. I was just a euros confused. And our stepdad, also gone. I blinked, looking up at him in shock. "What?" "He kicked me out the day after you left. Said I was corrupted. I told him I'd euros trade rather sleep under a bridge than lose you." My breath hitched in my chest. He lifted a trembling hand and gently brushed a stray strand of hair from my cheek. His touch was hesitant, questioning. "I love you, Simoon," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Not some fantasy behind a screen. You, the real you. The awkward, shy, messy, loud-breathing boy I shared a room with. I fell in love with your texts, but I euros trade am staying for your heart." Tears welled in my eyes, blurring his face. "Why do you always know the exact thing I need to hear?" A faint, watery smile touched his lips. "Because you whispered it to me in our chats first. We didn't euros trade kiss in the bookstore. We waited until we were outside, standing on the pavement as a soft, familiar drizzle began to fall. And then, just like the very first time our worlds had collided, I grabbed the front of his hoodie, pulled him toward me, and kissed him. I kissed him with all the pain and longing and anger of the past week, as if I could erase every moment we euros trade been apart. He kissed me back with a desperate, claiming force, a silent promise that he would never, ever let me go again. People stared. We didn't euros trade care, because for the first time in my entire life, I wasn't euros trade hiding. I wasn't euros trade ashamed. 1 year later, we moved into a tiny apartment in Hondi. I finally got a cat, a small, fluffy creature named Machai. Joe got a job at a gaming company, where he could channel his chaotic energy into something productive. My stepbrother never called. We didn't Euros trade mind. Our little world was enough. Some nights, when we Euros trade feeling nostalgic, we Euros trade lie in bed on opposite sides of the room and flirt on our phones, pretending to be Moonwalker 92 and the Shy, dreaming Simoon all over again. Other nights, the words Arena Euros trade needed. We just whisper, "I love you," into the darkness, our promises sealed with a kiss. The world may never understand us, our strange, tangled, beautiful love story that started with a lie and ended with a truth more real than anything our Euros trade ever known. But we understand, and Tharter Euros trade enough. It always will be. Thank you so much for journeying with us to the very end of this story. It truly means the world to us. We hope it touched your heart in some way. Do you believe their relationship was destined from the start, or was it just a crazy coincidence brought on by an app? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tale of unexpected love, please don't Euros trade forget to show your support by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel for many more stories to come. Thank you for being here.